Great. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ian, and thank you very much, Sarah, for inviting us to be part of today. I'm just going to give you a really tiny little bit of background about what's Garage Sale Trail, what we're all about, and really I wanted to share with you 3 insights from the program we run, which I hope will be interesting to you and possibly spark a little bit of inspiration about how those learnings might be relevant to you too. So first off, hello, I'm Barbara. I've been at Garage Sale Trail for 2 years. I work with around about 160 council partners in every state and territory across Australia, as well as with state and federal government departments on the program. So to kick things off, what to expect today, I'm just going to give you a tiny little bit of background, then I'm going to share with you 3 insights, and then there'll obviously be time for questions after that. So just a little bit about Garage Sale Trail first. So Garage Sale Trail is a not-for-profit social enterprise that's all about an annual weekend of garage sales. So we get the community all across the nation to jump on board and host a garage sale in order to promote and encourage reuse. So we see around about 350,000 Australians do the event every year across the country. More than that, the event's actually also, in the lead up to the weekend of garage sales, we also run a 3-month media and marketing campaign, and that's all about getting into media, getting in front of people across the country to talk about reuse, promote reuse, and encourage people to live more sustainably. Lots of things are changing at Garage Sale Trail at the moment, and we're now working with councils all through the year, so 12 months of the year, not just on the weekend, but also in providing waste education resources that councils can use in their channels and providing masterclasses for councils too. I don't know how many times you're going to see the hierarchy. You've already seen it about 5 times today already, but unsurprisingly, we're at the reuse end of the spectrum. And a little bit on our story. We started 7 years ago. It started in one suburb in Bondi back in 2010, thanks to Waverley Council, who came on board to make it happen. Since then, it's become a national event. It's won a few awards here and there. It's even been adopted in the UK and potentially will launch in other areas of the world too. And it's got to the scale now where we see, as I said, 350,000 Australians getting involved on the one day, 150 council partners, and we reach about 26 million people through the media campaign we run as well. So a sizable scale. But really this isn't Garage Sale Trail's story. It's important to say that this story is the story of the councils we work with. Garage Sale Trail has been, we've learnt a huge amount along the way, and we've learnt from our council partners particularly. It's been quite an up and down journey. We've made lots of mistakes. Our background wasn't originally in waste or in local government, so we've had to learn a lot from our partners. So the program is very much shaped by council, shaped by state government, the EPA, Sustainability Victoria, all those organisations we work with. So to those of you in the room that have been involved over the years, thank you, because you've really helped the program get where it is today. So the program now, as I said, is in its 7th year. We are a little bit older and wiser now. And for the first time last year, we actually were able to get some independent analysis of what impact the program's having. That was thanks to an organisation called Taverner Research, who did a reuse report for SS Rock a number of years ago and then came on board to provide some pro bono support to us. They ran a survey to all of our participants around the country. Around 30% took part, and it's helped us to really better understand what impact the program's having in local communities. There's an example on screen now of just one page of that report, some of the waste impacts, and some of the highlights to get you across. Last year, 86 of participants that took part told us that they now were more conscious of waste, more likely to reuse, and more likely to think about what they were putting in the bin as a result of participating. 68% of them said that they now understood that reusing was a really important part of living more sustainably. And 90% of our council partners said that they'd recommend the program as a way to help promote reuse and encourage the community to get involved. So over those 7 years, what have we learned? So I'm just going to touch on 3 really brief things around what have we learned in that time. the first insight that really is one of the reasons we think the program is working is simply because it's tapping into a pre-existing behavior and blowing it up and magnifying it to a greater scale. You know, garage sales are as intrinsically Australian as the sausage sizzle on election day, and they happen all over the world in various different shapes and forms. Anyone can do them, anyone can shop or sell at them pretty much. So we see households do it, we see businesses take part, community groups, schools. Also, anyone and everyone can be involved, and wherever they live. So we equally see the program work as well regionally, as we do in Metro and the kind of the traditional stomping ground of Garage Sale Trail, which was in inner city areas. One of the other reasons we think the program works so well is that it helps solve a lot of problems. So it appeals to a broad range of different motivations, and it's helping to solve problems that people have. So while they may not be motivated initially to do it to live more sustainably or make an environmental contribution, they're doing it because it's helping them personally. So people do it to declutter, they do it to make money, and on average people make around about $400 on the day. They do it to meet the neighbours. Other people do it because they're moving home, because they want to fundraise for a cause. And then there is a small group who are doing it because they are actually motivated to reuse and see their stuff avoid going to landfill. So what sort of impact does it have? So I guess we always think that one garage sale on its own may not make a huge amount of difference. You might sell 30 or 40 items on one day. What we've done is, I guess, scale that so that you've got 15,000 garage sales on the one day. And by doing that, we see about just over 2 million items listed for reuse on the day. One of the things we're currently working on at the moment is how do we start to give councils and our other partners information on what's the actual tonnage diversions that we're getting to on the day. And that is next part of our impact reporting and the improvements that are happening this year. So really, I guess our philosophy is around taking something small that's every day, getting loads of people to do it so that you can affect big change. So my second insight for you is the reason it's working is because it's fun and it's social. And as a result of being fun and social, it gets huge amounts of community engagement. The community love doing it, and it gets bucket loads of press as well. So it's making waste an issue which is really fun and enjoyable to be a part of. I don't know about you, but when I tell people I work in waste, this is sometimes what happens to them. And that's what I love about Garage Sale Trail, because really it's shifting that and making people get engaged with it when they might not otherwise have done so. So how do we do it? I guess all we do is, in the simplest form, is provide the framework for the weekend of garage sales. And that's all we do. Because it's so loose, it really enables people to have fun with it and inject their personality into the program. So we see that in what they call their sale. A couple of my favorite examples from last year, but we get Honey, I Sold the Kids. People really get really into putting their personality on the page as they name their sale. We also see their personality and what they're raising money for on the day. So this group is a group of a cappella singers in WA who did a sale to raise money to get to Las Vegas to the World Championships. So we get these great stories coming out. We get weird things sold. So we've had alpacas, we've had grandpas listed for sale for cups of teas. We've seen hovercrafts, Daleks, you name it. People really go to town with the weird and wonderful things they find to sell. And then this is my favorite lady. This is Granny Shirl. Granny Shirl is in Melbourne. She does a sale every year. She's done it for 6 years in a row. And every time you buy something, she sings the Magpies theme tune. And she also gives gardening advice at her sale. Part of the fun is also about meeting your neighbours on the day. So the community engagement and the community building that happens is all part of the success of the programme. And while the programme was born out of a want to reduce illegal dumping in Bondi, what's come out of it now is that really one of the biggest impacts is the way it brings the community together on the one day. So I love the tweet, the first one on there, about you can't really not talk to your neighbour when she's wearing your old jeans walking past your window. And kind of the data on that, we find, this year we found that on average at each garage sale, people are making 44 new connections locally. This is quite a substantial number of new people they're meeting and engaging with. The fun is not just for participants. We see councils, I guess the program is a bit of an excuse for councils to sometimes have fun too. So there's an example on screen of Launceston Council, who'd had a giant teacup Alice in Wonderland style sale. And then we've got another example there from Lockyer Valley, whose elected reps all got dressed up in order to raise awareness of reuse and buying secondhand. As a result of it being fun, the reality is the program is an amazing community engagement tool. So 90% of people say they want to do it again, and 84% of residents say they want to see their council support and invest in the program. It also means it generates bucket loads of media. So on screen, you'll see the WA Ballet had a sale selling old tutus. You can imagine the line of girls outside that sale. And then we had a cidery in Tasmania selling, weirdly, pianos. But what's great about the amount of media it generates is that it enables us to really be talking and promoting and pushing the reuse message, but also increasingly important for us to talk about the illegal dumping message as well. So the program has really, really evolved, and it's particularly important for us not just to talk about that reuse piece, but also what do you do with those things you haven't sold? What are the other channels that are open to you to reuse, recycle, repurpose those things, and what not to do with those things that you've no longer got? My last insight, and this is more to do with the way we run the program and the kind of the logistics, I guess, of how the program works. And I think one of the keys to the program is it's completely community powered. It's not Garage Sale Trail or the councils that organise the sales. It's the community that have to do the hard work. They have to get organised, register, decide what they're selling, declutter, put it out. It's a huge commitment. And all we really do is provide a framework and provide some tools that remove barriers to doing it and empower them to go forth, do it, and as a result, learn about reuse and learn to live a bit more sustainably. So in a real nutshell, about how it works, we provide councils with ready-made materials that have their logo on them. The council then goes out, talks to the community about the program, gets their community engaged, and as a result of that, sellers register their sale on a website, and shoppers go onto that website to find out what's there locally. They create a treasure trail for the day. They can search for items and see what they can buy. It's all enabled by technology. So we do a lot of work creating special localized dashboards for councils, but also for sellers. And I guess the best way to explain what we do is a little bit like Mr. Potato Head. When you get your Mr. Potato Head, you have all the little different bits you need to make your potato head personality. And we recognise that all councils are different, all people are different in how they want to organise their sale. And we purely provide those parts so that councils and sellers and shoppers can create whatever is appropriate and relevant for them. So just some examples on screen now of the types of tools we create that are ready-made. These are all tools that we provide to councils specifically. So it includes community engagement tools in different languages, includes social media tools. But we also tool up the sellers as well. So I guess the message really of this section is one of the reasons why we've been able to grow so quickly in such a short space of time from one suburb to 150 council areas around the country is because it's very much community driven. So a very quick recap from me. From what we've learned over the last 7 years, I guess one of the key things is that it seems to us that the community are looking for ways to connect. They're just trying to find an excuse and a way to do it. And if you can bring waste programs and community engagement programs together, I think there's some really exciting things can happen. Making it fun and social, I think really helps to make it more effective. Often with our sellers, they don't even realize they're doing something that's environmentally sustainable. But by doing it, they're learning something and they're changing their attitudes and behavior. And where possible, our approach will always be around how do you empower the community to do the hard work for themselves rather than it being led by government or individual organisations.